Morning, guys.
Coffee with Corey time. All right.
Yeah. I had the amazing opportunity on Sunday to go see one of my heroes in concert for the very first time. Mr. Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin played in Spokane, and it was spectacular. When I was a young kid, impressionable, I was listening to what my friends listened to, which meant I had a heavy rotation of TLC's Crazy Sexy Cool, Creed, and Ace of Base. Needless to say, I hadn't saw the sign. It hadn't opened up my eyes. Here I was living in the golden age of Pearl Jam, Guns N' Roses, Soundgarden, and ultimately what became my favorite band ever, the Black Crowes, and I'm wasting my eardrums on the revival of ska and Mambo No. 5. But then, my dad, I can only assume out of frustration of having to hear Aini Kamose's Here Comes the Hot Steppa for the billionth time, gave me a cassette of Led Zeppelin 2, and it literally changed my life and set me on the musical path of righteousness that I still walk to this day. I taught myself to sing, trying to imitate Robert Plant, which goes to show you can't imitate perfection. The guy's a legend, a personal hero, and for some reason, I'd never seen him live in concert. But being a dad of 3, money is extremely tight, so it would seem that I would have to miss Robert once again, which at 71 years old is dangerous. But when you're a dad, you either gotta buy your kids diapers or you gotta go see Robert Plant. And while I could deal with the consequences, I could and would deal with those consequences of maybe just letting the kids run free for a day or two to offset the cost. My wife, she doesn't exactly have that deep appreciation of Robert that I have. But then a miracle happened. My friend Wayne, the drummer in the band that I played in, said he had an extra ticket. So for the price of a drink or two, that was mine. Whoa, yay!
Sweet.
Now, I won't get too much into the show itself because it was Robert Plant. The guy is amazing. His voice, perfection. Still. He did Zeppelin. He did solo stuff. He did some Irish tune that sounded like the band on the sinking Titanic if the Titanic was a spaceship. Really weird, but cool. I loved every waking moment of it, with the exception of one thing, and this is typical of Spokane, the crowd.
Oh no, what did they do?
Now don't get me wrong, okay? I love Spokane. I love this town.
Yep.
Lived here my whole life, but when it comes to concerts, I don't understand you guys, okay? There's always a battle within the crowd of, do we sit? Do we stand?
Oh no.
And more often than not, that battle seems to always take place right next to me for some reason. I've drawn a diagram to illustrate my point here. So you see, I'm represented by the big red X.
Okay.
I'm sitting down because that's what everyone else is doing, but I'd sure love to be standing up and shaking it. But all the blue circles you see there represent people sitting down, with the exception of that big blue X in the row in front of me to my left. She's standing up and she's having fun. She's dancing. She's doing what you're supposed to do at a rock and roll show.
Right.
The squares next to me represent the 2 people sitting behind this woman. They don't appreciate her obstructing their view of Robert. They're yelling at her to sit down. She's not budging, putting her husband or boyfriend or what did I just get myself into first date in an uncomfortable spot. But he remains seated while she gets the brunt of the squares next to me. I'm all for the lady standing, right?
Yeah.
Dance, that's what you should do.
Sure.
When you're watching one of the greatest singers to ever walk the planet. But you're not watching a movie, people. So I was sitting because I didn't feel like having people yell at me.
You don't want to be that guy.
No. In true Spokane fashion, the majority of the crowd made it clear they would like to remain seated for this show. Perhaps the median age had something to do with it, but I implore you to think, what would you have done if you were watching Led Zeppelin in the 70s and someone told you to sit down? How quickly rebellious youth gives way to, my feet hurt.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit down. That's you, Matt. Corey from 10 years ago would have understood the plight of the feet-aching crowd, but these days, while I don't agree with it, I'm starting to understand it more. Back to my chart.
What was the Vikings thing?
You might be wondering why the Minnesota Vikings logo's there. That's because there was another guy standing up from the very beginning, but he looked like he could have played offensive line for the Minnesota Vikings, and no one was telling him to sit down.
Oh, interesting.
Eventually, as the evening went on and more familiar tunes were played, drinks were consumed, a lot of people did begin to stand up. You see the X's there.
Right.
They began to have a good time. But my long-winded point to all of this, how can Spokane get over their should we sit, should we stand at a concert dilemma? Is this just a Spokane thing? Does it depend on the venue? If there are chairs, do you have to sit? You paid for the space, should you be able to stand? I've seen so many fights break out at concerts because someone's rocking out and blocking the view of a person that would rather just sit back and watch. What is the solution? Do we sit, do we stand?
It is a tough one.
I've noticed that also. I think it depends on also like the venue. Like, is it one of those things where it kind of goes down, it's slanted, or
like
is
an
everyone
amphitheater
level?
type?
Yeah.
I don't know.
This was at the First Interstate Center for the Arts down there in downtown. And
I'm torn on this. I really am, because you bring up a really good point.
bit of a Rogers rant, really.
I think it has to do with age as well, because older people are like, oh, I'm sore, my feet hurt, let me rest, while younger people, they're ready to have a good time.
Is it possible to compromise? Could you, if you're standing in front of somebody and they're saying, hey, sit down, could you say, hey man, I really like this song. Can I shake it for one song and then I'll sit down?
I'd like to see you say that. What about different sections?
Yeah.
What about stand-up section, sit-down section?
Yeah.
I like
Venues,
that.
take note, right? We need to do
There's
something about
got to be
this.
a way to fix this. We don't need to be fighting amongst ourselves. I mean, after all, you're all there because you love the same musician, right?
Exactly.
Is it just in Spokane, though?
No, I
I've
think that's
noticed
everywhere.
it.
I've been to concerts many places, and this doesn't seem to be an issue as much as it is in Spokane.
Is that right?
It's a weird thing we have going on here.
Well, we're unique, that's for sure. All right, well, but overall, you had a great time.
Oh my gosh, Robert Plant.
How do these guys still? How are they still?
71.
How are
Wow.
they still walking, much less performing after the
What are
life?
you going to be doing when you're
after
70?
No,
Not
I'm saying
walking?
that- I mean, they've lived the rock and roll lifestyle. That's not
True.
easy on your body, from what I hear.
True.
I don't know. Anyway, that's cool.
Still sounded good.
All right.
Still Robert Plant.
Thank you, Corey. We'll be right back.